Hey everybody. How's it going? I'm just going to get us in live here. This is what I'm going to call office hours. It's very different from Coffee with Will. It's more about for musicians and people that want to learn more about music. I'm going to be talking about Plagal versus perfect emotions. And I'll be referencing a song that I arranged, How Deep Is Your Love? And it's on our Spotify channel. You can go there if you want to listen to it as a part of this discussion. How Deep Is Your Love? It's on the Will Taylor End Strings Attached profile on all digital outlets, Pandora, Spotify. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So there's that. I'm also going to have this real book here, an example of a foggy day, or maybe autumn leaves would be even better. And I've kind of had a real big realization over the last couple of months. And it's all thanks to this guy right here, Jacob Collier, a guy who's 30 years younger than me, and some of his talks about the circle of fifths and it being all about how things feel in music, what emotions come up when listening to music. And if you're a musician, you learn the craft of, well, if I play a harmony or if I play a melody a certain way and I know how that's constructed, maybe I can reproduce the emotion. You know, if I know the mechanics of that. So this is Jacob Collier talking about storytelling, harmonization, and harmony. And you know, I've been around music and went to shortly to the UT School of Music back in 1987, and I learned harmony from the thing called the Tonal Harmony book, Stephen Kotska. And we just learned it as a codified system, but we wouldn't talk about the emotions, we wouldn't talk about the feelings, we wouldn't talk about the sounds. We just learned it like it was math. But music isn't just math, it's emotions. And Jacob poses a very interesting proposition that, you know, we're taught about the circle of fifths in tonal music. So I'm talking about tonal music, music that the system of music around the 12 tones of the, like the well-tempered clavier, right? Perfect intonate, perfect. That's what I'm going to be referring to, music that's built around that kind of system. And the tonal system. So when you have a home key, and we use the circle of fifths, we bring that up, as a tool to see how we can start in a home key, move away from that home, and come back to home. That's essentially all tonal music is about, being home, going away from home, and coming back. So if you can see this, if we're in the key of C, we might go over and play an A note and then work our way back gradually to C. Most of music that is taught in the conservatories and, you know, J.S. Bach, European music, is taught through fifths. That music moves through fifths. Now, I'm just being very general, but if you look at music like let's look at, let me just say Autumn Leaves. Now, if you look at those chords, they're moving. They start in, the first chord is A minor. So we're just going to use this circle of fifths as an example to show you most Western music, Bach, European, that kind of music, to start at home and go away from home, usually it goes to the right on the circle of fifths. So in this case, on Autumn Leaves, the first chord's A minor. Okay, so we're just going to look at the root movement, A. And the next chord is what? D, right? So we're going back, the next chord is G, and then C, and then F sharp, and then B, and then we're back to E minor. So if you change these, you know. So the actual key is E, but what we did, we went through the circle fifths in the direction going left. In other words, we were going through fifths. what if we went all the way to the left and came back going right? In other words, what if we were to say we're starting on the key of C, and we were to go over here to get our chromatic tones? In other words, if we were to play a chord E flat and then go back through like that. So I went C, E flat, B flat, F, C. What kind of sound does that make you feel? What kind of emotion does that come up? In other words, the chords were moving in a Plagal way. If we're moving in fifths, it's perfect. So if I'm in the key of C, and I go to a G, and then back to C, that's what we call a perfect cadence. Now if I'm in the key of C, so in other words, I'm key of C, so I went to the right, and then I came back to C. Now what if I were to go to the left, which would be what we call a Plagal cadence, start on F and come back to C? What would that sound like? So you can see these two kinds of cadences have two very different emotional qualities to them, right? And if you look at it, when you go from an F chord to a C, you have a common tone. The common tone is the tonal center, which is C. So there's this common sound that is carried through. When we're going through a perfect 5-1, the only common tone is the G, right? And it's one of the things that I've not really been a big fan of, all what we call 2/5s in jazz. All the chords are going around. All these chords are moving through the circle of fifths. They're going to the right, and then they're coming back that way. Okay? If you think a lot of tunes, like how about All the Things You Are? All that is what we call 2/5, and there's something kind of a little bit of a cliche. It sounds kind of almost boring to my ear. I hate to say it. So, what would be the equivalent of a 2/5? What would be the opposite of 2/5? So let me back up a second here. And part of the reason that the composers go to the right is to get more chromatic variation. So if I take, for instance, say we're in the key of G. Let's go to here, right? And let's say Georgia, right? Okay, so I start off, the key of G has one sharp, right? But the second chord I'm playing is a B. Now we have some chromatic variety. Our ears are like, ooh, that sounds so good, right? Because now we have a D sharp. D sharp wasn't in there, but so we went from G over here to B. We went to the right again, right? Now, so we have that chromatic variety that makes us want to, it's taking us away, and it sounds gorgeous, and then it's creating some tension to help us come back, right? Because what I did was, because I went to B, and then I came back to E minor, and then E minor over D, and then I went to C. Now I'm over here at C. I went to the left, which is a Plagal. So a lot of that chromatic variety we get from going to the right, from adding sharps, okay, to the key. So if we're in F and we go to G, we're going to the right. And if we go to the left, we're taking away sharps. Does that make sense? So that's in the theory. But what would it sound like, you know, to your ear? I've been drawn to Plagal cadences, things that take away sharps, that go to the left. If I'm in the key of G and I all of a sudden play in B flat, there's a couple of things I can mention there. One, G and B flat, the relative minor, as you can see right here, G minor. So G minor and G share the same note. So there's a nice little common tone, but I like the sound. If I were in G and I go to a B flat, right? Chord. That kind of sound. It sounds different from going, say, from a G to a B. You see, what Jacob says here in his talk is that when you move in fifths, to him it sounds brighter, almost kind of hokey. And when you move in a plagal way, in other words, you move to the left on the circle of fifths, and you come back home via plagal cadences, it's more open, it's more emotional, has more heart center feel to it. That's the way I feel it. So let's just give you like an example of the difference. Like let's play a 2-5-1 with perfect cadences versus what would be the polar opposite of that with plagal. Another way of looking this, if we're in the key of C, and if you're a jazzer and you're playing a 2-5, that's a D, G, C, right? Okay, so we're going up a whole step away from the tonic, right? So what would be the reverse of that? What would be the mirror image? The mirror image would be going down a whole step from the tonic. Okay, so what would that be? That would be the B flat. So now we're going to the left. So any cadences that are perfect, when you reverse them, they become plagal. And so anyway, so the 2 would be D minor, right? Going to G, going to C. So the D minor is now going to become B flat. Okay, now let's look at G. G is what? It is a fifth above C. What is, okay, so the opposite of that would be a fifth below C, so that would be F. So as you can see, now once a 2-5 in C that is a mirror image of what most people think of a 2 in C would be B flat F C. So let's hear what they sound like. So a perfect like jazz, you hear this a lot, right? That's a 2-5 going in perfect cadences. Okay, now let's do it with the negative harmony. It has a whole different emotional quality to it. So here's the B flat, and then the F. It's almost gospel, right? And this is something you find a lot in Keith Jarrett's music. And one of the things that I really feel is when you have fourth relationships, you hear a lot of what we call suspensions. You hear a lot of things like this. You hear. Because it's built into that relationship of 4-1. This kind of deal, right? So you hear a lot of pianists that do that. They immediately hit a chord like this. No, there's some beautiful suspension relationships. So back to that B flat. All I did was play B flat 7 to an F to a C. And again, it has a different emotional quality to it. I hear this. And what it comes down to is it's a lot of it's because we have this tonic that's being shared. And it just feels like we just kind of slightly went away and then we slid back. But when we go from that to that, it's a little more. It feels a little more. What's the word? Bright. So when I started noticing this, it's more like I started noticing things that I used to arrange years ago, and I used to just arrange by ear. I mean, I of course use some concepts, but a lot of times I would just try things out and go, you know what, I like that. So a lot of the things I like tend to come from the gospel sound. So a lot of times you'll hear this kind of thing. This. Very popular progression in the evening. There's used in nightlife. Sun goes down, you will find me hanging around. That to me, there's just something really pleasing about these chords. Oh, the nightlife Now, what I'm saying is that in some songs you'll have examples of both the Plagal and the perfect. A lot of jazz tunes are just perfect progressions all the time. Through the whole tune, it's just circle of fifths. But like, take this tune by Nightlife by Willie Nelson. When the evening sun goes down, you will find me hanging around with the nightlife. Here's a perfect. Ain't no good life, but it's my life. So there were some combinations going on there. So the whole first part, evening sun goes down. So you have a 2-5 going to the 4 chord. Da, 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 da. Okay, let's just talk about this. We're in the key of C. When it goes to the 4 chord, here, okay, we're at 4. So we started at C, and we went to F, and then we went to F minor, which is going to B flat. And what's interesting about that is that we're going to the left. We're taking away sharps. We're not going to the right. So there's something about that to my ear. F minor, B flat, which is a 2-5, and then but then that B flat goes to the C. So just having that B flat in there, my ear makes it sound more like a Plagal relationship, rather than if I were to add an F sharp, then it would be more of a going to the right. In other words, the chromaticism is coming from the left side, not the right side. So another example is in How Deep Is Your Love? The arrangement here, I'll pull it up. And you can kind of look at this through a lens of just when there is chromaticism in your harmony, where are you getting it from? On the left, it's just simple, folks. Are you going left or are you going right? When you go left, you're going Plagal. When you go right, you're going perfect. And my ear is really attracted to going left. It's general. So like in How Deep Is Your Love? So I mean, in other words, the things that really stick out to me, that pull me in, are when it's going to the left. That's when I kind of go, ooh, that's nice. And I've noticed other people that don't hear music also kind of notice this. There's just something pleasing about this. That's Plagal. I mean, this is perfect. Doesn't have the same feel. That's playing the 5/1, going back to 1. If I play the 4/1, it's just, there's like a vibration there, a resonance that works. This has more tension, right? So on How Deep Is Your Love, you can see here, hopefully it's coming through on your side. I'm going to get my phone. I don't even know if anybody's watching, but this is fun for me to do. I'm going to share with my people as we grow our fan base. I know I can get long-winded sometimes, but check this out. All this is all perfect. So we start at G. If we look over here at our handy-dandy circle of fifths, right? We start at G. Just look at the chord, right? Then we go to B minor, which is over here. We're going to the right. And then we're gradually coming back to the tonal center, going left. Okay, we went right, and then we come back left gradually. The whole first section. Okay, all this is perfect stuff. Perfect, perfect. 5/2. There's 5, right? And to 1. Now here's our first. The moment that you wonder. There's a Plagal. Far from you. And this F over E flat is really kind of like the minor 4. Okay, so if I'm in G, normally if I were to go to 4, it would be C. But if I make it C minor, now it's a minor 4. That's what we call modal mixture. So going to that C is going left and grab, it's taking away sharps. So we went from over here on the, we went G major. Oh yeah, we go 1, 4, 1. And this F over E flat is kind of like a 4 because it's really a C minor. And if you want to look at the, F again is going left and grab, it's taking away sharps. So we're going over Plagal. So when we go to this, it just has that feeling of opening up, right? And then we're back here, C over D, which is really like the 5 chord, and then B flat, which is called a tritone substitution, moving to the C. So now we're at C. Okay, so we went back again, Plagal. Da, 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 da. Now 1, G over B is 1. And now check this out. That right there. See how it opens up? Has this feeling of opening up? What did we do? We went from 1, we went left and grabbed an F chord. And now we're coming back to C, but it's not a C, it's a C minor, so we call it minor 4, right? So check it out, just feel it. Just feel how the harmony sounds here. 1, so it's a 4, 1. And then this is kind of like a 4 of 4. Right? It's the 4 of C. And we talk about this in music theory classes that I went to. And then, okay, so we went over here to F. That's a 4 of 4. That's really what it is. And then C minor. Then we went back to the 1. So that was all Plagal. And to see how it sounds different than the beginning part. So this whole part here, G all the way through here, the first 4 bars, Plagal feeling. Plagal sounds. And then from here all the way through the next 8 bars is the Plagal. Let's just play the chords and see if you can tell the difference. Here's the beginning. It almost sounds more classical here, right? Like we're playing Mozart. Now we get into more of a gospel sound. This is all Plagal kind of sound. And that's kind of Plagal too because it's a C over D. Now we're back to Plagal. See, 4 chord, 1 chord, and 4 of 4 chord. Here we on the F over A. Moving to the 4 chord, minor 4 chord. Now we're back to perfect. And if you look at all these chords that I did here in the arrangement, need to take we added sharps. We're in the key of G. When I get to this A chord here, we've added the next sharp is C sharp, so that's in the key of D. That A13 chord has a C sharp in it, right? So we went to A, and then we went to C over D, which is a 5 chord, right? How deep is your love? Da, 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 is your love. Now C. I really need so Plagal. No, cause now this is where it gets cool too. Living, now we're 1. This is so gorgeous. This, what is that? So it's a D minor, right? We're in the key of G, and we went to a D minor. Look over here. D minor, the relative major is F major, so we went left again. Anytime there's that kind of emotional opening up, it's that simple, folks. At least this is the way I hear it. If you don't hear it this way, that's fine too. Everybody can hear how they love, how they want to hear it. But this D minor over F, see how it opens up? We went over here to, again, we went left. We reduced number of sharps. Okay, so we go G, and then now D minor over. And then this one, this is E. So we added sharps. So then we just hopped. We went from D minor. It hopped over. We added a G sharp, and actually, I'm gonna think this is this is kind of like A minor. Okay, so this E over D, and even the B flat is setting up. This is all 5. This is a 5. 2 bars or 5 going to A minor. Okay, so let's go back here. We got 1 D over G, and this is like minor. We're going to A minor, so this would be more like 4 and A minor. I'm sorry, not 4. Sorry, 6, flat 6th, going to 5. And now we're at minor, and this is the E flat over G is kind of like it's Plagal again. It's like C minor in a way, because what did we do? We took away sharps. Here we are at A minor. A minor we have, or if you want to say add flats, A minor, and then we went and we went from A minor. Where is it? Let's look. Right here to C minor, all the way over here. So we moved left. So I'm just kind of showing you how you can go through a lot of tonal music and kind of split it up into going left or right, going Plagal or going perfect. And you can kind of mix these things up. How Deep Is Your Love has both perfect and Plagal. But those movements have very different emotional signatures. I think it's really interesting to do this. And when you're writing music, you can do that too. You can follow your own heart's desire with music, with what you're writing in harmony. So, like today, I was working on something with this kind of deal. So when I have this one chord with a 4/3 suspension, that's called a 4/3 suspension. It's already implying a Plagal. Hear that? I just changed one note. So this is something I came up with today. A lot of people may go, that sounds like Radiohead, right? All of this is just, it's got this Plagal feeling. And to me, a big part of that Plagal feeling is sharing that common tonal center with some sort of just gradual 4/1 resolution. So, and a lot of times my ear will just, this is what it hears. I'm not thinking math, I'm just hearing. And then I bring it back here. Then I did it again. I did a little different that time. And then back to 1. So 1 is C in this case. And I'm going to B flat. B flat is like the 4 of 4 in C. That's B flat, right? So I went Plagal, I started on C, then I went over to B flat. And then I went to A flat, which is really, it's got an F in there, so it's really like an F minor over A flat. See? And then I went to an F suspension. So this whole progression I came up with was kind of taking that idea of the Plagal sound, of that emotional sort of openness of sharing a tonal center. Whereas perfect cadences don't share, well, they can share the tonal center. They would sound like this. Right? When you have that kind of thing, it kind of is, it's very bright. This whole brights my ear. But if they don't share the tonal center, then they're going to just share the 5th degree, right? So it just has a whole different character, a whole different motion, a whole different sound than sharing a tonic, which would be this. Amen, which out of the church sound, which immediately sounds gospel, blues. Right? First chord we go to blues is 4. And I always love when folk musicians do this thing. They go. Or they go. loved. So what that was is a 1 chord, 4 to a suspension, and if you notice it again, that B flat on the 4 chord, that suspension right there, what note is it? It's B flat. We're in the key of C. To get a B flat, to get that chromatic tone, you have to go to the left in the circle of fifths, right? F, not right. So anytime we're going to the left and grabbing chromatic tones on the left side of the circle of fifths, it tends to be a plagal sound. Like, let's say if I was in C, what if I went in and then I went to, I grabbed a chromatic tone from the key of E flat, right? Any of these notes. How about A flat? Let's go to E flat. So I'm in C, and then I go to E flat. Let's just say E flat. Anyway, that's going to the left. So I hope you enjoyed this. Check out that Jacob Collier, got kids that just come home, video right here. I'll put it in the description below. I also put a link to my arrangement of How Deep Is Your Love. That would just go away. And you can listen to that on Spotify. That thing would go away. All right, here we go. How Deep Is Your Love. I'll put the chart there so you can check it out. And just give me about 5 or 10 minutes. It'll be below. If anybody even watched this. And this How Deep Is Your Love is live over here at Will Taylor and Strings Attached. You can just go down to, oh man, they make it hard, don't they? Get all the way to the bottom where the singles are. Here we go, where all their singles are, and you'll find it here, How Deep Is Your Love. I'll probably just put a link direct to that song so you can check it out. If you enjoyed this, make a donation. Consider making a donation. Consider being a patron of the work we do every week. We sure appreciate our patrons at patreon.com/Will Taylor. So, family's arrived home, and this office hours is over. Did you see my office hour? Okay, how do I do this?